Yeah, very proud of the way that we played. It was a very together performance. We had a certain level of focus and intensity about us in the preparation. We challenged each other to be specific on the things that we wanted to bring to the court in practice, and held them to those standards, and raised the bar. Every drill, every day of practice, even through break. And I think coming off of a long break like that, you can get out of a rhythm and chemistry, but we had a strong focus on an execution component, a defensive component, and a rebounding component over break, and that afforded us a good opportunity to build that chemistry. But hats off to Bellarmine. I thought the Harrison kid played really well. Haley Harrison's shooting it 9 and 19. She made us pay. She's a strong player. Hope Savori, struggled a little bit, but I thought we did a pretty good job. She's been someone that's, as they've had success, she gets going for them, and she can have those kind of games. And I thought our guards did a really good job not letting her really get going to the level that she could. But really, really proud of the way that we defended, rebound, and then got out in transition.
Coach, you look at Reagan Bass, you heard us talking the double-double thing almost every single night. Just what have you seen out of her, your first year as head coach with her, from preseason to now, heading into the end of December, early January, where she's just consistently putting up good numbers?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to like who she is as a person. She's a very consistent person in her demeanor. Her character is exceptionally high. She stands for the right things. So she really leans into the things that we value in practice, and she just plays with a ton of heart. I mean, I think the thing about the double-double thing is it's usually off 5 or 6 offensive rebounds too. I mean, it ain't just defensive boards, and they're not all off of her misses. She was 8 of 10 on the field. A lot of times kids get offensive boards that takes them 2 or 3, and they pad it a little bit. But she's a very efficient player. Has this kind of quiet intensity about her of like very workmanlike in that nature. But that's who she is. I mean, we just got our first semester grades back, and she's taken 6 or 7 classes and doing really well in an engineering and business school that's very challenging. So she's consistent in everything that she does. She deserves everything that she gets. She gets in extra with our coaches as much as humanly possible, and she takes great care of her body, to be able to perform at a high level with a lot of minutes.
As far as when you were coaching, you were at Illinois, correct?
Yep.
Were you aware when you took this job, like, hey, Reagan, this is a girl?
First phone call.
Okay.
First phone call. Charles called me about the job, asked for Reagan's cell phone number. I was the post coach at Illinois, so I was fortunate to work with some really good post players there. But when you have a centerpiece like that, she was my first phone call to share a vision of chasing championships and getting to the NCAA tournament. That's our number one priority. And on the days that are tough, we point to that space in the rafters of the jar and look at that. And it's a reminder of it's going to be hard work. But when you have a player of her caliber that hits a chord with, it reverberates through the rest of the team.
Hey, Coach. I mean, you mentioned earlier about how over the last 11 days you guys have been focusing on a lot of different aspects, but tonight it seemed like the girls were playing a little bit more physical, diving for balls, really putting up in the paint. Was that something you guys focused on, or something that you made the switch?
A little bit. During the break, during that 5-day stretch, Monday through Friday, we only practiced once. And then we got in for individuals. I wanted them to focus on that. But those practices weren't our traditional practices of like, hey, we got to get to this. We got to get to the scout. We didn't move on from a drill until we got what we wanted out of it. And a lot of those were rebounding drills where we were at a deficiency. And so, a Tamala Thorpe has to box out Eliza Tappinen, or, and I really give a ton of credit. Our scout team this week was fantastic. Annie Watson, who didn't get a single minute in the game, made our players better in every single rep in practice. And she made them work, and she made them pay. And, that it showed because we played as hard and for each other out there on the court today. So we didn't get out of those drills until we got them right. And that certainly carried over.
And now, up until the next game, what are you guys going to be focusing on in practice from this game?
It'll be similar. I mean, that formula has been pretty good for us. And, as I'm in my first year as a head coach, but as you kind of learn yourself and learn what you value, it's, yes, you got to go through press break and you got to be zone offense ready and, all the intricacies of preparation that you got to be sharp with. But, I kind of lean on some football concepts. If you can't block and tackle, like, what are you doing? So if we can't defend and rebound to a high level, running the perfect play on offense or, getting to a third read offensively, like we're wasting time on that when we can't, do the things that affect winning in a high level. So, being able to out rebound them, having 19 offensive boards, and holding them to 65 and a low of 26 in the first half is what we need to be about.